All right, so this is a little preface to my video. I just had to insert this at the beginning here because I did have some sound issues with the first minute or so of the video. And so I didn't want you to be discouraged and think I'm not watching this whole video with the sound like that. It's just the very first minute and I couldn't seem to resolve it in editing. Um, and there might be a couple other places that aren't synced right with the sound, and I just not sure what I did, or I couldn't figure out how to resolve it. So anyway, I hope that doesn't discourage you. I feel like there's a lot of information here. Basically, I am making a foundation for my October journal or my October daily for 2023. And mostly the pages are created with just basic cardstock, envelopes, greeting cards, um, treat bags, and glassine bags, which could be treat bags. And so if you can collect those things, which I think you can get at party stores or Walmart and whatnot, at dollar store, then I think this is really going to be the journal for you. And so anyway, without any more, let's move on to the video, and yeah, keep watching. Happy to have you here.
Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I have in front of me some leftover items from the previous project I created for a swap I participated in. I will put a link to the video for that project in the description box below. But I used this Masquerade Party by Teresa Collins and I really enjoyed using it. It's very traditional, classic. But when I purchased it 10 years ago, I purchased an entire bundle. And so I had a lot of ephemera things left over that I didn't use on my project, including these treat bags. So I have 3 of these orange and white polka dot and 3 of these glassine bags and a couple of these smaller treat bags. But I was thinking that this could be a great foundation for an October daily. So the reason for this video is I wanted to share with you the items that I've gathered together so far and show you how I make my pages. And this will be the first video in a series of process videos on how I create my daily. Before we do though, I'd like to invite you to like this video and to subscribe.
So like I said, I have these treat bags. I have 3 glassine bags and 3 of the polka dot. And these are approximately 5 inches wide by 6 inches tall. If you're following along and you want to use treat bags like I am, the size isn't very crucial. I'm just going to be doing a 2-hole punch and using either notebook rings or ribbon to bind the book. So the size isn't really crucial. And then I have a couple of pieces of scrap paper. So this one is 5 by 6, and this one is approximately 4 by 5.5, I believe. And this one is from, I'm not really sure where it's from, in my stash. So this is some scraps I had of this, and this one I cut to 5 by 6. And then I have these 2 envelopes. This one on the outer measurements are 4.5 by 6.5. And then this one was an oopsie from the last project. I had cut the paper too small, but I put it together for this, and it's approximately an A2 size envelope. And then I have a sheet of paper from the collection that had all these 4x4 cards with the letters on them that spell out Halloween. And so I'm going to spell Halloween as you flip through the book. And then this was a really fun, unexpected surprise. So I was looking for a card to give to the host of the swap that I participated in, and I found a whole set of cards that were made with this collection. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. So I thought it would be fun to take a couple of these and make into pages for my book. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but That's something we'll go over when I continue on with this video. So I have a couple pages ready to go, and I want to show you how I attach the hinge to this treat bag. I really had my heart set on having these in a vertical orientation, and I know I'm making life more difficult for myself. I really wanted them this way, and I didn't want to lose my space here, so I didn't want to punch holes on the sides of the bag. So what I did was I pried this apart. So you can see there's a little folded flap there. I took my undo adhesive remover and just carefully tried to pry that apart, but I was not 100% successful. So you can see here where the bag is crinkled a little bit, and then there is a little teeny tear right there, which I have glued down, but anyway, it was a very risky thing to do. So I decided after that that's not what I was going to do. But I'm going to go ahead and describe how I finished this off, because maybe your bags are easily opened, or maybe you're making your own bags. So once I got my bag apart on the side, I have a heavy duty strip here that is 4 inches by 1 inch. And I just tried to center that on the edge of the bag the best I could, and then I just tried to eyeball it centered vertically as well. So then I glued 1/2 of that hinge to the inside of the bag, and then folded that bag over and glued everything back together. So I've decided to make these hinges out of tab dies for the rest of my bags. But the important thing is not so much the shape as the distance between the edge of the bag and the top of the hinge. It's very important that all your hinges are the same distance so that your book will open and turn the pages properly. If you don't have any decorative dies that you think might work for this, I will show you how to create your own little hinges without using a die. But for now, I'm going to show you how I completed this. The first thing that I'm going to do is to fold my die cut piece in half, and then I'm going to mark the center of the tab. And so you can see the little white dot there is the center of my tab. And then I'm just going to take my Crop-A-Dile and go ahead and use the hole punch, and very carefully make sure that it's centered, and then I'm punching the hole exactly where that white circle was. And then I'm going to line those two tabs up together and mark the hole, and then punch the other one. So now I'm going to take the first bag that I've already attached a hinge to and line up the new bag, and I'm going to add that clip there to keep them lined up in place. And then I'm going to line up the holes of the hinge that I just created with the hinge that's on the original bag. And you can see me stick my pencil in there because I'm just making sure that they're exactly lined up. And then I'm just going to glue one side of the hinge and fold it over and attach it to the bag. So now I'm just going to take my glue and attach it, or adhere it to the other side of the tab and attach it to the other side of the bag, and make sure that everything is still lining up, and then I've got some straight edges there on the bottom of the tab to the edge of the bag. So now I'm going to do the same process with the other tab. So now that my hinges are in place, I would like to add some design paper to the center. So for that, I'm going to be using my 5/8 inch circle punch, and I'm going to glue the design on one side and then punch my holes in the center. And then I'm going to flip it over and add the other side. And just making sure I try to get those holes in the same place as before. So on the holes, just a friendly reminder that you need to determine the distance and the placement of your holes based on your smallest page. And for me, that's this 4x4 card. So I, came in about a half an inch from the top and the bottom and approximately the same distance from this left edge here. Um, Measured that, punched my holes, and that's going to determine the rest of the pages in my book. So as I'm creating my hinges, I have to make sure that my hinges are also the correct distance to accommodate my holes. So I had to make sure this was at least 4 inches like the card here, so I'd have enough room to punch the holes there. And you need to make sure that you come out far enough to also have your holes in there and not too close to this left edge. I had this used treat bag, but I thought this was a fun little idea to just make a little hinges without using the punch. So I had cut out a bunch of these 4x1 inch strips of the heavy duty cardstock. Of course, I used one here and then one I cut in half, and so I thought I'd show you what I did with this one. I'll do the same thing here. And so I just eyeballed it and cut it in half. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to line this up to the edge of my card, and I'm going to grab my little clamp here, my little bulldog clip. I want to make sure that this is the same distance from the edge of the bag as this hinge here. All my hinges need to come out the same distance or the book won't fold properly or open properly. So I've got that attached to the edge there. And then basically all I did was add my glue, just not going over that edge there. So now what I want to do before I do this side, and there's a reason I'm doing it this way, what I want to do is I want to make sure that my hole is in the center of, of the hinge here that I just created. So what I'm doing is I'm centering this hinge over the hole, and I'm not doing it exact, but it's just going to be very close to the center there. And then I'm going to take my pencil, which I just had it. Let's see. Oops. And I'm going to draw my little circle in there with my pencil so that I know where to punch. So I do have my crocodile adjusted so that I have the same distance from the edge of the paper to where my hole is punched on all of my pieces. Okay, so now I can go ahead and place this one on the edge of this card. And same thing, I want to make sure that the hinge is the correct distance. So I'm going to use my little clamp here on the hinge that I already did. And then I'm lining this up to the edge of the top of the card, and then making sure that it sticks out the same amount as the other hinge. And oops, I do not see my other little clamps. I'm going to move this one over here. And go ahead and do the glue same as I did before. Okay, and then I just want to make sure that now I center my holes together on this side. Flip that over, draw where the hole needs to be. And then go ahead and punch the hole on this one. All right, so now I have the hinges on my little card here, and then I will just go ahead and cover this particular card. I think I'm just going to cover it with some design paper, and or whatever I happen to find. Who knows? We're just going to leave it at that for now until I know exactly what I want to do. So for my 3 glassine bags, I'm doing 2 different methods. And the first is to fold up the bags so that they're only approximately 5 inches wide. And so I want to say it's about 7/8 of an inch, but let me just make sure. Yeah, it's really close to 7/8 of an inch. That I just folded the bag over like that, and then I cut a strip of paper to the same width here, and I just glued the bag down and then glued the strip of paper onto that fold. And this one I did a little bit different. I folded it over the same amount, and then I just added washi tape on each side on the folded edge, and then the leftover of the fold I just trimmed that off, and then I just glued everything down, and I glued the washi tape onto the bag as well so that it would permanently stay. And the back of this, even though it's double-sided paper, it's just not a paper that looks very good on the back. So I'm probably just going to decide where it's setting in the book, and then I'll match a piece of paper on the side once I get it placed in the book. Now this one, however, I decided to do something a little different, and so I've got my holes punched here. I'm going to sew down this edge here, giving myself approximately, I want to say 5/8 of an inch, and then I'm just going to sew here, and give myself, maybe 1/4 of an inch from the right. I'm going to sew, and about the same on the bottom, and that's just going to create a nice little frame with this left side being kind of just my binding space or my hinge space. And but I don't want to sew it yet because I might want to sew ribbons on there with it or other things, and I'm not sure how I'm decorating the page yet, so I thought I'd just wait on that and see. But the holes are punched in there for now, so I can get that in the book. And then I have this letter here, and this one I have placed some washi tape on the top of the back of the card. And then I took a piece of paper and cut it to size widthwise, and then about, I want to say it's about 1/4 of an inch less on the top. I notched a hole with my 1.5 inch circle punch, and then just glued all 3 sides down to make a little pocket here. And then I just punched my holes on the side. And so I will probably do one other letter with this method. And so far I have these 2 and this. So I've created a hinge for my greeting card, and what I did was I cut a piece of heavy duty cardstock at 2 inches wide and 4 inches tall. Then I cut a piece of design paper 5/8 of an inch wide and 4 inches tall, and I glued that on, flushing it to the right of the hinge. Then with the design paper up on the hinge, I added glue to the rest of it, just to the edge here, and then I placed the right edge of my card up to the edge of the design paper and just glued that down. And before I really glued it well, I wanted to make sure I had 5/8 of an inch from the bottom of the card to this hinge. And so then I just glued that down, and there you go. So on the back, I will just add a piece of design paper, and then this will be another page here. And then you flip this over, and then you have the page here that opens up to the right, or excuse me, to the left with the hinges on the right, and that won't interfere with the hinges at all. So, so that's another page done. And then I have here, I found more of this spider paper, and so I thought I'd create a tombstone shape with black cardstock. I cut this out on my silhouette, and then I did an inset and cut out 2 more pieces of paper for the front and the back. And so there is another page completed. And then I thought I would like to have, since I am spelling the Halloween, I thought maybe the H would be the first page of my book. And I just wanted to frame it and put it on a page. And so I've cut this black cardstock to 4 3/4 by 4 1/2. And I decided to round the corners for some reason. I don't know. I just like the look of that. And punched my holes. And then when the time comes to decorate, I will somehow attach my H. But I don't want to do it right now because I might make this a pocket or a fold out. And I might want to add things behind the card. And I think that's it for now. So I'm going to go ahead and get some rings and kind of just put it together, see what it's going to look like, and go from there. All right, so the base for my October daily is complete. I've got all the pages on the rings, and it's just ready to go and decorate for the month of October. So I'm going to flip through this, and this will be the end of the first video of the series. So I have the first page, which I'm going to place the H, and a little bag here, the tombstone paper, and on this I'm going to place the A, another little baggie, one of the L's, the other L, which we made into a little pocket, and then I have my envelope here. And I think I'm going to try to squeeze in this card. This card's a little big for this envelope, but I'm going to try and make it fit. Hang on there. Let me get. It's going to be a really tight fit. I might try to trim the card down just a little bit. And then we have a little glassine bag, a little treat bag, And here I'm going to place the W. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in the middle or here. We'll have to figure that out. And then this is the back of the card. And some more scrap paper. And then here will be the E. And then the other E. And the baggie. And then an N. And then on the back we have the envelope. And this is the perfect back page because on Halloween Day I'll have all the pictures of grandkids in their costumes on Halloween, and so I can just shove this full of 4x6 pictures, but for now I'm going to put the letters until they're attached into the book. Alright, so you guys, thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you had success in putting your book together. If you have any questions, please write those in the comments or suggestions. And yeah, and I'll catch you guys on the next video, the first week of October. All right, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.